Mine will be much lighter in detail. This comes from Frank Donovan, W3LPL, and I stole his information from, I don't know whether it was last year's Contest University or the year prior, but the data hasn't changed. What he did was he had a very, very, very detailed presentation, and so I just grabbed the high points. Tom asked me to hold it in 5 minutes or so. So this will be a gloss over, and feel free to politely inject your opinions. We got some real experts on this stuff. I see a couple of them sitting here. So I'd be more than interested in any contributions you have to add in any of these subjects, either QRP guys, power beam antennas, solar hiccups, PSK reporter stuff. 10 meters, which Tom just finished up with, this is what Frank says. He said almost every day from October to April, it's wide open. And listening to the guys who are the real big contesters in our club, inevitably they're talking about 10 meters. Jim and Coy, how wide open it is. Now they're doing digital stuff, and I don't, so I can't comment on the digital, but apparently it is wide open stuff. Europe, sunrise to early afternoon. Japan and Asia from 21:30 Zulu for 3 to 4 hours. Between northern hemispheres, May to September, and excellent propagation. What Frank says is excellent through 2026. So if you've been on the net and you've heard folks talk about how good it is, you haven't missed the boat, because Frank says it's going to be wide open till 2026. Does that pretty much jive, Coy, with what you've been hearing? So he's now Frank's up more northeast, I think, and we're dead center here. So all right, moving on down the band, 15 meters. I've got the data up there. You can read it. Europe sunrise to mid-afternoon, and I think Jim mentioned that the other day. He from 8:30 to 10:30 or something like that, as I recall, that he was able to pound Europe pretty good. Japan and Asia in the evening for 4 hours or more, and then sporadic June through August. Any comments on that, confirmation or disagreement? All right. 20 meters. Nighttime is starting to improve. 24 hours a day except midsummer. Europe nighttime, they resume an hour before sunrise, and at the European stations QSY to higher bands after 12 Zulu. We'll get into the stuff now where you're starting to see some drop off because of the solar cycle. Europe a few hours before sunset, and then the Europeans QSY to higher bands. Europe's best around their sunrise. What's that, like 5 hours earlier for us, so it's a little early in the morning. Mid-afternoon, it's weak, and then Japan and Asia are more reliable, and he did not have a time stamp for that, so I cannot tell you what he said on that. And then 80 meters, less reliable, weak, unreliable begins at sunset, maybe Europe several hours after sunset, and then Europe is best just before their sunrise. So you get the gray line and see when the gray line goes through there and pick up on them. And as you can well imagine, 160 is not much activity. Anybody here do 160 with any frequency? Is that pretty much kaput right now?
No, good.
Good on the digital stuff?
Anything.
160 is? Okay. So if you got the antenna, just because they're having trouble somewhere doesn't mean that you're gonna have trouble. So if you got a 160 capability, then certainly try it. All right. This came from Frank Donovan, who is a class contester at Contest University. If you're a contester at any level, you got to go once. You don't have to go more than once, but that's got to be, if you're one contest, if you want to be a contester, that's a bucket list to go to Contest University. And if anybody wants the foils, then give me your name and I'll send you a copy of the foils. All right, now we're gonna launch right into the contest report. This is the January stuff. We've got the QSO Party phone version North American. The next weekend, we've got the Hungarian DX contest, both phone and CW version. And then got a Romanian, I don't know if you play the Romanian RIDI contest? Okay. And then the ARL VHF all mode. I know you guys are really big in the VHF contesting. And then we're gonna have I'm not gonna touch on it much, but the Winter Field Day is coming up, all mode except for the FTXs. And then in February, we got the Vermont, this is when the contesting is starting to pick up again, the Vermont QSO Party, the 1010 Winter Phone, and then the Minnesota contest QSO Party. Again, no FTXs on that. The European DX CW and phone, the Mexico RIDI, you play the Mexico RIDI contest or not? Yeah, kind of, sort of, all right. And then the British Columbia QSO Party, oh, I see, it just didn't get, that's a new line,
CQ
looks like
Worldwide,
there.
I
Yeah,
forgot to
a CQ Worldwide RIDI, I know you play in that one. That's one of the biggies. And then special event, there's a new auto coming up, it's Churches on the Air. And it's just starting out, there's only gonna be 2 stations, they're both coming from the Arizona group. And so if you wanna log autos, there's a new one for you. You know, they've got Parks on the Air, Summits on the Air, Islands on the Air, all kinds of things where they're gonna have Churches on the Air, so I suspect that will pick up. And then the Sorrow Field Day, all mode is coming in February. And then, I guess it didn't get right. The Old Man International Single Sideband Society is having their QSO party as in the 10th and 11th, phone version in February also. Okay, I didn't put it up there. Coming in, and do you remember the date on the EL, on the Dry Tortugas? It's after the February. You'll see it. I'll have it on the February meeting. It's a very rare station. Sometimes people get lucky. I know we've got one guy with a North Korea card. When I first got started, didn't have a clue what I was doing. The guy made a call. I responded to the call. Turned out it happened to be EL84, and I've got his card. So one of the few places that I'm kind of proud of is this, the Dry Tortugas. It's a very rare grid, and they're going to be there in late February. So be listening for that, and I'll have more about that next month. Winterfield, did you want to do this or you want me to do it? Okay. Winterfield Day coming up, end of January, 7 o'clock Zulu to 7 o'clock Zulu on the 28th. You got 4 classes you can do sitting in your home, and they've changed some of the rules. In the past, you could go out on your patio, rig up a temporary antenna, don't use your home antenna, and as long as you were some number of feet, 25, 35, 50 feet from your station, you could count that as outdoor. Can't do that anymore. If it's at your home, even if it's a temporary antenna, it's now home. Indoor, you could be in a pop-up tent, you go to a park and get under a canopy, sit at the park table, that would be an indoor. An outdoor is truly outdoor, and then mobile if you're in your car. Do read the rules. They've done away with the bonus points, but they'll ask you about them. In the past, there were bonus points for doing it a certain way. They really want to build up Winter Field Day to make it just like emergency communications, regular field day, except out in the woods. And I think you guys, you were big on it last year, weren't you?
Yes, and we're doing it next week, and we're doing it next weekend as well.
A side story, I have always told people, you do not have to be a big gun to win stuff in contests, because a lot of people get in and just don't send in a log. I have won regional stuff with very few points just because I bothered to send in a log. The very first winter field day, I was the national winner because there were probably 3 of us that sent in a log. I mean, it had just started up, and I went in out my patio, put up a temporary antenna, ran my radio off of a generator that made me whatever category that was at the time, sent in my log, and I got the piece of paper that's, you know, the national winner with, you know, less than 3,000 points. Well, now, if you're 3,000 points in this contest, you don't even make the top 500. So this is a big contest now. So when you get into a contest, send in your log. Because first of all, if you don't send in a log, somebody else may lose the points for logging you if you're a nil, not in log, or something like that. So anyway, this is a big deal. Have fun. And I will turn it back over to Miss Sandy.